Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna Uvacha Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna Punayogam cha Shamsasi Yachreya Itayorikam Tanme Bruhishu Nishchitam.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work, and then again you recommended work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?"
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sanyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyasya Karavubhav Tatayostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yoga Vishishyate.
The personality of Godhead replied, "The renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotion service is better than renunciation of work."
Text 3. Gneyasa Nitya Sanyasi Yona Dveshti Na Kankshati Nvedvando Hi Mahabaho Sukham Bandhat Pramuchyate.
One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna.
Sankhya Yoga Pritag Balaha Pravadanti Na Panditaha Ekamapyastita Samyag.
From the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are place himself well to one of these spots achieves the result of both.
Text 5. Yat Sankhye Prapyate Sthanam Tad Yogerapi Gamyate Ekam Sankyam Cha Yogam Cha Ya Pashyati Sa Pashyati.
One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service. One who therefore see analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level sees things as they are.
Text 6. Sanyasastu Mahabaho Dukkhamaptam Ayogataha Yoga Yukto Muni Brahma Nachire Nadigachati.
Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotion service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotion service can achieve the supreme without delay.
Text 7. Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriyaha Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma Kurvanapi Na Lipyate.
One who walks in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled.
Text 8 and 9. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyate tattvavid pashyan srinavan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swapanch shwasan kalapan visrijan griyanan ushmisan nimishan api indriya teshu vatanta iti dharayan.
A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving, about sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them.
Extend. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha Lipyate na sapapena padma patram ivam basa.
One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water.
Text 11. Kayana manasa buddhaya kevale indriye rapti yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyatvatma shuddhaye.
The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification.
Text 12. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva shanti mapnoti naishtikim ayukta kama karena phale sakto nibadhyate.
The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled.
Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan.
When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of nine gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done.
Text 14. न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः न कर्मफलसंयोगं स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते.
The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, doesn't create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature.
Text 15. Nadate kasyachit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhuha agnane navritam gnanam tena muyanti jantavaha.
Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge.
Text 16. Nanena tu tadagnanam yesham nashchitam atmanaha tesham aditya vagnanam prakashayati tatparam.
When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nascence is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime.
17. Tad buddhaya tad atmanas tan nishtatas tad parayanaha gacchantya puna avrittim gnana nirduta kalmashaha.
When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgiving through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation.
Text 18. Vidya vinay sampanne brahmane gavi hastini shuni chaiva shvapake cha pandita samadashinaha.
The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and a gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, outcast.
Ihaiva te jita sargo isham samye sitam manaha nidosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha.
Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman.
Text 20. Na prarishyat priyam prapya nodvijay prapya cha priyam stira buddhi rasamudo brahma vid brahmani stitaha.
A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-indulgent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the signs of God is already situated in transcendence.
Text 21. Arya spasheshva saktatma vindatyatmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashmute.
Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness for the concentrates on the for he concentrates on the supreme.
Text 22. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukha yonaya evate adyantavanta kauteya nateshu ramate buddha.
An intelligent person doesn't take part in the source of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man doesn't delight in them.
Text 23. Shaknoti haivaya shodhum praksharira vimokshanat kama krodha bhavam megam sayukta sa sukhi naraha.
Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and he is happy in this world.
Text 24. Yonta sukhanta ramas tathanta jyotirevayaha sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto digacchati.
One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward is actually the perfect mistake. He is liberated in the Supreme and ultimately he attains the Supreme.
Text 25. Labante brahma nirvanam rishayakshina kalmashaha chinna dvaida yatatmanaha sarvabhuta hitarataha.
Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme.
Text 26. Kama krodha vimuktanam yatinam yata chetasam apito brahma nirvanam vartate vaditatmanam.
Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future.
Text 27 and 28. Sparshan kritva bahirbayam chakshuschaivantare bhruvaha pranapano samakritva nasabhyantara charinam yatendriya manobuddhir muni moksha parayanaha vigate cha bhaya krodho yasada mukta eva saha.
Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eye and concentrated between two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breath within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated.
Text 29. Bhuktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam natva mam shantim richati.
A person consciousness of me, knowing me to be ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from pangs of material miseries.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry if any mistakes.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhus. Just like to thank Divinam Prabhu for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I only found out an hour ago, so apologies if I'm not so prepared. But please pray that I can, share something worthwhile. And please pray that I don't put you all to sleep. So yeah, Hare Krishna. I'm just going to, okay, so we're doing Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 5, text 5 today. So I'm just going to share my screen. I've got a presentation for that. Hopefully you can all see that.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see it.
Okay, so I'll just go through the Sanskrit. Yat sankye prapyate sthanam tad yoge rapi gamyate ekam sankyam cha yogam cha ya pashyati sapashyati. Translation. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Okay. So first of all, I'm just going to go through the purport. So I split it up into a few sections, and then we will share some thoughts on each section of the purport. So the first part of the purport goes, actually, would anyone like to volunteer to read the first paragraph of the purport?
I can.
Yeah, sure, please.
The real purpose of philosophical research is to find the ultimate goal of life. Since the ultimate goal of life is self-realization, there is no difference between the conclusions reached by the two processes.
Okay, thank you, Chetna. Okay, so as we were hearing in the verse itself, is talking about two processes. It's talking about analytical study, and it's talking about devotional service, bhakti. And it's saying that if we have spiritual vision, if we have the right vision, then we can see that there's no difference between these two things. And then in this first part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining is because they're both aiming towards the same goal. So we understand from our scriptures, obviously, that the ultimate goal of life is self-realization, to understand ultimately who we really are, to understand who God is, and to understand what is our relationship with him. So here Prabhupada is saying that both of these different paths, these different processes, they come to the same conclusion, that this is the ultimate goal. So I mean, the first part is fairly self-explanatory. I'll just go on to the next one. Okay. Okay, could we have another volunteer to read this paragraph, please?
Shall I, Prabhuji?
Yes, please, thank you.
By Sankhya philosophical research, one comes to the conclusion that a living entity is not part and parcel of the material world, but of the Supreme Spirit whole. Consequently, the spirit soul has nothing to do with the material world. His actions must be in some relationship with the Supreme. When he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is actually in his constitutional position. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you so much, Jolie. Okay, so here we are, we are hearing more about this point that Srila Prabhupada just made, where we understood the ultimate goal of life is self-realization. So Srila Prabhupada is just breaking that down now, what that actually means, that understanding that we're not a part and parcel of this material world, but we're a part and parcel of the Supreme, of Krishna. So basically understanding our identity, who we actually are. And then once we come to that conclusion that, we are part and parcel of the Supreme, and the Supreme is spiritual in nature, then we understand, because we are part and parcel of someone who is spiritual in nature, then therefore we are also spiritual in nature. And therefore we have nothing to do with this whole material world that we see around us. So then we have to think, so Srila Prabhupada sometimes makes this point that, okay, so now we understood who I am, that I'm a spirit soul, I'm not this body. But then Srila Prabhupada sometimes say, okay, then what do we do? We've got this knowledge now, but what do we actually do practically? So Srila Prabhupada is saying, if we're acting in accordance with our spiritual nature, that means all of our actions have to be related to the Supreme. They have to be related to Krishna, for them to be in relation to our identity as the soul. And he says, when he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is actually in his constitutional position. So basically, acting in consciousness of Krishna, acting for Krishna. So as soon as we act for Krishna, then we are in our actual position. And as soon as we act for selfish interests and not for Krishna, then we are in our materially conditioned position. So it's we've heard this point many times, that it's all to do with the consciousness. A Krishna conscious person, a devotee, could be doing externally exactly the same activities as a materialistic person. Srila Prabhupada makes this point so many times, that you see them and you think, oh, they're doing exactly the same. They're eating, they're working, they're raising children, they're doing this, they're doing that. So what's the difference? But the difference is the consciousness. They're doing the same activities for Krishna. As soon as we do things in that consciousness, then we are in Krishna consciousness. It's not that it's a long process, and at some point, then we become like that. As soon as we do something for Krishna, then at that time at least, we are in Krishna consciousness. Okay. Okay, the next part. Could we have one more volunteer for this paragraph?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, please go ahead.
In the first process, Sankhya, one has to become detached from matter, and in the devotional yoga process, to attach himself to the work of Krishna consciousness. Factually, both processes are the same, although superficially, one process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. Detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. One who can see this sees things as they are. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada is now breaking it down a bit more about the first process of Sankhya and the second process of devotion, and what is the result of that. So basically saying this analytical study in Sankhya, if we go for it properly, if we go for it seriously, then we'll come to this conclusion that we have to become detached from matter. And then if we're following the devotional process, the process of bhakti yoga, then we will understand that, okay, I have to attach myself to Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that although they're same from external point of view, it may look like the first process is simply detaching and the second process is simply attachment. But actually he's saying detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. So this is basically because, again, Srila Prabhupada makes this point so many times that, this process of spiritual life, it's not just a negative thing. It's not just reducing all the material desires to zero, just reducing the material attachments to zero. Then he said, if you just detach, but you don't have anything to replace it, if you don't have the higher taste of Krishna consciousness to replace it, then it's not going to last. You become detached from the material things for a little while, and then you become involved in those same material activities again. You won't be able to stay away from those things because you don't have that higher taste. You don't have the, Srila Prabhupada says, you don't have the positive side to become attached to. But if you follow the process of Sankhya Yoga properly, then while you are, detaching from this material things, you will also, become attached to Krishna consciousness. You will become attached to Krishna. And in the same way, if you're just following directly the Krishna conscious process and you're becoming more and more attached to Krishna, then automatically, the more you become attached to Krishna, you have less and less interest in the material things. And so because of that fact, Srila Prabhupada, often says that, sometimes we may think, am I actually advancing, in Krishna consciousness? I'm doing this for so long, so many years. How do I know if I'm advancing? So Srila Prabhupada always says, one very good measure of our advancement in Krishna consciousness is how much are we becoming detached from these material things? How much are we losing interest in our material desires and having more interest in Krishna? So he said we can measure this ourselves. We can test ourselves. We can introspect and think for ourselves in our lives. Just how much am I attached to this material thing, to that material thing? We can sort of test ourselves in that way and understand, whether we're advancing. Okay, so I also just had some points from Srila Prabhupada's lecture, his class, on this verse as well. So could we have one more volunteer to read this paragraph, please?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read.
Okay, thank you.
Now Krishna is stressing that the ultimate goal of life, which you can achieve by analytical study and metaphysics and philosophy, the same place you can also reach by direct Krishna consciousness. Not that you have to wait. This is the direct means. It is specially suitable for this age. How many people they are fit for studying philosophy? Very few. It requires very learned knowledge to understand philosophical truth. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, so here now Srila Prabhupada is actually explaining that although the conclusion that we come to by both processes is the same, so in a sense they're not different, but at the same time Srila Prabhupada is now hinting that because we're in the age of Kali Yuga, then it's more beneficial for us if we go through the second process, the direct process of Krishna consciousness. So he's saying, not that you have to wait. So basically, it's not that we have to, study philosophy for so long and do so much study. And then when we're sort of, finished our study, if you like, then, okay, now I'm in a position to actually, perform Krishna consciousness. But no, it's not like that. Instead, if we perform Krishna consciousness straight away, directly, then automatically we gain all of that knowledge and philosophical understanding anyway. Just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains in the first verse of Shikshashtakam, he explains that, he explains many different benefits and features of chanting the holy name. And one of them is that we will gain all spiritual knowledge, all the knowledge that we have in our scriptures, just by chanting the holy name sincerely, and we can just automatically develop all that knowledge without having to study all the different scriptures. Because, Srila Prabhupada often says, there's so many scriptures, how much can we study? And then even here he's saying, even how many people in this day and age, how many are actually fit for studying philosophy? He says very few. So he says it requires very learned knowledge to understand philosophical truth. So he's implying that this very learned knowledge that we need is very difficult to obtain in this day and age. But he's saying, that fortunately we don't need to become so learned we just have to, follow this direct process, this direct means. Direct meaning we just go straight to the source, we go straight to Krishna, because ultimately, as we said earlier, the goal of all these different processes is to come to Krishna. So if we can come to Krishna straight away and save so much time, then that's obviously the most beneficial option for us. Okay, one more volunteer to read this part, please.
Can I read, Prabhuji, again?
Yes, please go ahead, Prabhu.
Therefore, Lord Chaitanya he said, Kalau nasti, eva nasti, eva gati anyati. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, 1721. In this age, there is no other way than this particular way of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Okay, thank you, Venkat.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, so I'll just go on to the next slide because it explains more on this point. I'll just do it together. Okay, this is the last section that I got from the lecture. So maybe one more volunteer to read this, and then we'll cover those 2 slides together.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Okay, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. This age, it is called Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and fight. In this age, the only means is Hare Kirtana. If you chant Hare Krishna, so all enemies and friends and learned and fools, rich and poor, men, women, black, white, yellow, ho, everyone can take part. There is no distinction. And you derive the same profit. That is recommended.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Actually, I think there is one more slide, but anyway, that's fine. We'll come to that. Okay, so in the previous slide, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, Lord Chaitanya's declaration, if you like, his declaration that in this day and age, there's no other way for spiritual realization, for self-realization than chanting Hare Krishna, chanting the Mahamantra. So then Srila Prabhupada is saying here, that one of the wonderful benefits of chanting the Mahamantra, that by chanting it, all enemies and friends, learned and fools, rich and poor, man, woman, black, white, yellow, he's saying that everyone can take part. There's no distinction. And he's saying you derive the same profit. So that is recommended. So again, the same point covered in today's verse, that there's no distinction between these things, but you derive the same profit. So again, he's recommending that you might as well just follow the process of Krishna consciousness rather than the process of analytical study. And through that, through this process of chanting Hare Krishna, then we can see all these material distinctions, these designations between people, they all disappear, they all get dissolved. And we understand what our true identity is, what everyone's true identity is, that it's nothing to do with, there's no such thing really as enemy and friend, as Prahlad Maharaj explains as well, or he tries to explain anyway to his father, or there's no difference between, so-called rich, poor, man, woman, so gender, race, any of these things, just by chanting Hare Krishna, all those designations, we use the word in the scriptures, they use the word upadhi, these different designations, all of them disappear. So that's why, Srila Prabhupada is recommending this process in accordance with the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so I think this is definitely the last slide. So, okay, now this time one last speaker maybe to read this paragraph.
Shall I continue, Prabhu? Shall I do it?
Yeah, sure.
Hare Krishna. So here also Krishna says, Ekam Sankhiyam Ya Yogam Chaya Pasyati Sa Pasyati. Bhagavad-Gita 5:5. So therefore we have to accept the favorable circumstances. in this age, in this difficult age, if we find the same result by being Krishna conscious and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, then we should take advantage of it. Why should we stick to certain other principles? That is also good. That's also right. But this is favorable in the presence of circumstances. That is the point. I was going to ask this question, Prabhu. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jolie. And yeah, you recited the Sanskrit line as well very nicely, so thank you. Okay, so again, Srila Prabhupada is saying we accept the favorable circumstances. So this this process of Krishna consciousness is the favorable circumstances for this age. It's the easiest process, most direct process. So he's saying even in this difficult age, and I don't need to, explain further on difficult age. We all know about the difficulties of this present day and age. But he's saying that we can get the same result even in this most difficult age, just by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He's saying that we should take advantage of it. And he's saying, the other principles, they're also good, they're okay, but this particular process of Krishna consciousness is most favorable in the present circumstances. So probably, I'm sure you must have come across the verse before in Canto 12 of the Bhagavatam. There's a very famous verse which basically explains that this age of Kali, is an ocean of faults. There's so many bad qualities in this age of Kali. But the one, you could say the one redeeming factor about Kali Yuga is that we have this process of chanting the Maha Mantra in order to achieve self-realization and ultimately go back to Godhead. So that's the one good thing, the one redeeming thing about Kali Yuga. So then it's actually explained in some places that some great sages, great ascetics, great yogis, they actually worship the age of Kali Yuga. Even though it seems like the worst age, they actually worship the age of Kali Yuga, because in Kali Yuga we have this process of just simply chanting the holy name and going back to Krishna. And it said, because you might think, obviously, there's in every age there was a certain way, to approach Krishna, to approach God. For example, meditating for thousands of years, or elaborate deity worship, or elaborate Vedic sacrifices, all these different things in different ages. But in this age, it's just chanting. But however, because of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually we can achieve something in Kali Yuga that those in the previous ages cannot achieve. Pure love for Krishna, following the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan. So, it's something even more special that couldn't be achieved so easily in previous ages. But by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, and by extension, Srila Prabhupada's mercy, then we are also so fortunate in that way. So I just had to, so that's the end of that presentation. I just had to rush through it because obviously we had limited time. So I was just asked to speak for a few minutes also on book distribution. Because obviously, as we all know, it's the book distribution marathon right now. So just wanted to speak a little bit on that in connection to today's verse. And I believe soon after that, we'll have a Vaishnava bhajan as well. So, okay, so obviously we were hearing how, this chanting of Hare Krishna is the best way in this day and age to, achieve self-realization. And by chanting this, we no longer identify ourselves with all those material designations that we saw on that slide. The designations to do with our race, with our gender, with our ethnicity, whatever it might be. So just by doing that, we can understand who we truly are. So then when we look around us, if we do go out on the streets to give out books or to do Harinam or whatever it might be, when we're going out, we can see that people are suffering so much because they've forgotten who they are. They're, as Srila Prabhupada says, that's it. He said that, you may have say you have a bird cage and you're polishing the bird cage so nicely, so beautifully, it's shining, but you completely forget to feed the bird. Then it doesn't matter how nice the bird cage is, but the bird is not going to survive, it's going to die. So we see the people around us, they are focusing on the body and they're trying to make the body happy, but then they're feeling frustrated because they're forgetting to feed the soul, they're forgetting to nourish the soul. So that's the biggest problem out there, that they've completely forgotten who they are. And until you know who you are, you won't know what will make you happy. Once you realize that I'm a spirit soul, I'm a part and parcel of Krishna, then only afterwards you can understand what will make me happy. So that's why, it's so important for us to go out there and remind people of this fact, tell them about this fact that, you're looking for happiness, which is the right thing to do. We're all looking for happiness. We're all looking for enjoyment, but we're looking in the wrong place. Srila Prabhupada once asked the devotees, what is the purpose of life? And, the devotees were thinking and they gave so many, kind of high level Krishna conscious answers. But the answer Srila Prabhupada said is no, the purpose of life is to enjoy. But then he says that people have forgotten how to enjoy. So we don't know how to enjoy. So that's what we're actually reminding people when we try and share Srila Prabhupada's books with them on the streets, or we try to share the holy name with them, or whatever it might be, or we, sharing prasadam distribution, or, there's so many different ways that we can do this. And we especially see during the marathon that devotees are constantly every year coming up with different ways, new ways, innovative ways to try and share this knowledge. So some of us may be, I know I am, often nervous to go out on the streets and approach people, that I've never met, and go out of my comfort zone like that. But obviously there's other ways, we can have a book table, the devotees every year, they organize book tables in different supermarkets and shops and things like that. We have book table at the manor. So that's one way. If we don't feel so confident to go out and approach people, then we can have the table, and then it's kind of just there. People come to us anyway. So it kind of reduces that anxiety for us. Or we may find it preferable to go door to door. Again, similarly, it's actually, devotees say that they find it easier in the sense that, again, you already have a captive audience. Like, obviously, some may not open the door, but if they do open the door, then that's done. You have the audience there. It's not that you have to actually, like on the streets, you have to approach someone, you have to say some kind of lines or something to attract them and to get their attention. And it's when you actually going door to door, that part of it is just taken out. They're already there in front of you. Obviously, if they open the door. And then, there's so many other ways. I'm sure you know more about this than me anyway, because you have such devotees like, Divyanam Prabhu, Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu on this group. So I'm sure you're familiar. But yeah, so basically to conclude in relation to today's verse, that, as Srila Prabhupada was concluding, that we can see these two processes, analytical study and direct Krishna consciousness, they come to the same conclusion, but Krishna consciousness is more direct and it saves us a lot of time So if we understand this is the best process, then obviously then we want to give the best process to other people as well, so that they also can quickly and easily come to the point of Krishna consciousness, so that they can also share in our good fortune as well. Okay, so that's all I had to say. I think Devinam Prabhu said he would.
Thank you, Nikhil
Have some
Prabhu.
announcements, Prabhu.
Yes, thank you so much for that wonderful
Hare
session,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So, devotees, I have just now shared it on the chat group. Three things. Number one, I have shared, the first one is called the Dharma Pack. You all know about the Dharma Pack. This is a set of 7 books which we have been distributing over the sort of last week, ever since we started the marathon. And then the second thing which I've shared is called the Inner Yoga Pack. It is exactly the same pack, the 7 books, but this one is for, say, Western audience, because the Inner Yoga will resonate more with these people, whereas the Dharma Pack will resonate more people coming from the Vedic background or Indian background who have some idea. It's not a question of discrimination. It is about making things personal for people. So those are the first 2 things. So these pack has 7 books, starting with Veda, and then you have In Essence, then you have Perfect Question, Perfect Answer, Chant and Be Happy, Easy Journey to Other Planets, Higher Taste, and there is one more book, which is Chant and Be Happy, Higher Taste, In Essence.
Queen Kunti
Yes,
question.
thank you so much. Thank you, Gauri Mataji. Teachings of Queen Kunti. So I have shared all these first 2 links with you. And what we are doing, we are also going to be offering a course to the people who opt for this in January on Mind and You. So it'll be a nice course delivered by Radha Govind Prabhu from Krishna Wisdom. And it will be offered to anyone who orders this pack online only over the course of this month until the 25th of December. It's a special offer. And it is the best Christmas gift. I know many of you had messaged me, is there a way to order this online so you can reach out to your friends? Keshav Gokulanand Prabhu is kindly working on a little flyer for us. So hopefully he could do something together. And I may even reach out to Nikhil Prabhu on a couple of, because Prabhu is so creative with some of these flyers. So you can then just circulate the flyer and the link. At least the link is there. You can start circulating. People can order the set, the Inner Yoga Pack or the Dharma Pack. So the Dharma Pack link, you can send it to those who are from, as I said, Vedic or Indian background. And the other one, you can send it to those who are from Western background. So they can start ordering their sets and gift it to somebody over Christmas and New Year. It's 19 pounds, I believe, and 99 pence. It includes delivery. It includes the course. It also includes all the 7 books which are listed there. And as I said, it's including delivery, because the delivery itself is around 450 for the 7 books. But this way they have the opportunity to just order it, and it's all inclusive of the delivery. So that was the first thing. Second thing I have shared with you on the chat group is, last year we had an opportunity for devotees to order box of Gita so they can give it out to their friends, family, colleagues, or neighbors. Like, if you're not able to come to the temple. So now we have a whole box of Bhagavad-Gita, and few languages are available. You have to select, go in the notes section and put down your language preference for the box you want. And you can see the different languages available in the description. And this is 90 pounds only for 25 Bhagavad Gitas, plus I believe 9 pounds for delivery, and it will be delivered at your doorstep. And you can order it now so that it's there in a week's time, so that you can then distribute it in the last 2 weeks as an offering to Srila Prabhupada. So those were the 3 things, and the links are available for you to start ordering or sharing with your friends for any of these options. Are there any questions anybody has for the next couple of minutes? I hand it back to Nikhil Prabhu, and we will have a bhajan this evening. Any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Hare
Sorry.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, my humble obeisances. I just wanted to say that Nikhil Prabhu's class was brilliant. It was so good. Yes, it was so clear, the purport, how he explained. So yeah, thank you to Nikhil Prabhu. Thanks, Hare Krishna.
Amazing. Thank you so much. He's really nice devotee. Thank you, Mataji. Any other comments from anyone?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I echo with Rupa Mataji. It's very clear. Very nice understanding. Thank you. I just want to have one clarification, Prabhuji. Maybe one on the book distribution, one on this today's class. Now, when we're talking about the Sankhya philosophy and devotional service, Prabhupada prefers devotional service. So, for this an example, can we take the pastime that happened in the Hiranyakashipu lifetime, like where Hiranyaksha died? Hiranyakashipu says all this Sankhya Shastra to his wives, means Hiranyaksha wives, but he doesn't realize himself the devotion. So, knowing the philosophy or the Sankhya Yoga is no use without attaching to Krishna. So can we take that as example, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I think that's a good example, definitely, Prabhu. Thank you for mentioning that. That didn't even come to my mind actually. So it's good that you mentioned that. Because I was going to mention another quote from Srila Prabhupada. I don't remember the exact words, but he basically, he makes this point several times in his lectures that, we may study so many scriptures, millions of scriptures for millions of years, but if we don't come to the point of turning to Krishna, then it's all useless. He says, all this analytic study, this gathering of knowledge, just for the sake of gathering knowledge, is useless if it doesn't bring us to Krishna. So definitely the example you gave is a very good one. So thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So one question I have on the book distribution, Prabhuji. So we were on the book distribution yesterday and today. So when I asked up a few people, because it's a Christmas, so they're thinking that we are already happy. So we don't need any yoga meditation. We don't need to know anything. We are already happy. So even I tried to say you can be more happy, but they were not listening. So I don't want to tell them the happy what you are temporary or it's not like real happy. For you to know real happy, you need to read. But I don't know how to put that word to these Western people, or like they're like in the party mood with a drunken mood. So how can we put these words nicely to them, not hurting their feelings, saying that what you're experiencing is not the real happiness?
Yeah, I'll just say something, and then maybe I can pass on to Divanam Prabhu, because he'll probably have more to say on that. I would just say, just on the point of Westerners, because I have some experience with trying to share Krishna consciousness with Westerners. So yeah, as you said, it can be difficult to say. You can't say, oh, you're not happy, but they think they're completely happy. They think they're perfectly fine. As you said, involved in so much sense enjoyment, they think they're happy. So we don't have to go down that route. But you can kind of maybe encourage them to get involved in the aspects of Krishna consciousness, like feasting, dancing, chanting, like, because they like singing and dancing and that kind of stuff anyway. So we can kind of attract them from that angle rather than the philosophical angle. Because some people you see on the streets, they're into philosophy, but the vast majority of people you find on the streets, they're not very philosophical. But as you can say, that everyone loves to feast, everyone loves to dance and sing. So we kind of use those aspects which appeal to them anyway to attract them in that way. But yeah, Divyanam Prabhu, I don't know if you have anything more to add to that.
Thank you so much, Nikhil Prabhu. No, absolutely. I think from my side, the only thing I would say is Venkat Prabhu. So was it Venkat Prabhu who asked the question? Who was it? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji, yeah.
Okay. So Prabhu, one of the things I learned from my spiritual master is we are not looking to convince the world. What we are looking to do is convince ourselves that the process works and honor the objections of the people. Even if the people say they're happy, then we honor it. So one of the lines I've learned and I use, and it works with the people when they say I'm very happy or I'm happy. I say them, I can see it just by looking at you. And if there were more people like you, this world will be a much better place. So you just appreciate them for where they are, because they are special. There is a soul inside, and there is a super soul. So every living entity is very special, Prabhu. And we don't need to convince everybody. If we are looking for ripe fruits. So if they're saying, "I'm happy, I don't need anything," you let them go. You just greet them with a smile, and you let them carry on with their business. However, like one case, it really depends from person to person, Venkat Prabhu. So one lady who we were like group of devotees, we were 9, 10 of us. We knocked the door. This lady came back and she said, "I'm very happy. I'm happy." And then I started to talking to her. That I said same thing what I just mentioned to you. And then I told her, I said, these books, not directly, but later on towards the end of my conversation, I said, these books will take you on a journey from being happy to being delighted. So there is a difference being delighted and being happy. And when I went through a little presentation, she was a bit more open at that time. So what happens is there is a saying, what you appreciate, it appreciates. So when you appreciate the people, they become open. You kind of give them more respect, and you make them feel that they know more than us. So in that mode, then the receiving aspect or their heart opens up, the recipient starts to open up. But if they're moving around, they stop and say, "I'm good, I'm happy, thank you." You just let them go and greet them with a smile, because next time they are very likely to come in contact again with Krishna consciousness devotee or literature. They will be more receptive and open at that time. So that'll be my two penny worth of suggestion, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's really what. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, I'll
Thank
take
you.
that.
All right, I'm
Thank
sorry we've gone over time, so we will now hand it over to Santosh Mataji, who will invite the two devotees to sing a bhajan. If you tell us the lyrics, Mataji, Nikhil Prabhu can quickly Google the which Vaishnav bhajan are we singing, and Prabhu can put it on the screen. So these devotees can sing, and the others can sing it with the muted mic. And in case if I have to leave, I just wanted to express my gratitude to Nikhil Prabhu for giving us his association this evening. And thank you, Prabhu. We would love to have you more often on our platform, and I'll be in touch with you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you. Hare Krishna. The bhajan singers tonight are Vinu Mataji and Dilip Prabhu. And may I ask Vinu Mataji to give the title of her bhajan, please? Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. The bhajan we will be singing today is Tum Meri Rakho Laja Hari. You got the video on now?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mataji. That's so nice. And who's the which Vaishnav Acharya has sing this? Do you know who the author of the song is?
Surdas. Yes, it's Surdas.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, Hare Krishna.
And in the background, we have my daughter Ruhi, youngest one. And on the side there, we have Neha, who will also be joining us with this bhajan.
Sure. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Rakho, Raj Hari. Tum meri 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 rakho, Raj Hari. Tum m मोसे विसरत नाही अवगुण मोसे विसरत नाही अवगुण मोसे विसरत नाही अवगुण मोसे विसरत नाही फल चीर करी तुम राखो लाज हरी तुम मेरी राखो लाज हरी तुम मेरी राखो लाज हरी सुत धन्य मोहनिए हो तारा सुत धन मोहनिए हो मोहनिए हो मोहनिए हो तारा सुत धन मोहनिए हो सुध बुध तुम मेरी राखो लाज हरी तुम मेरी राखो लाज हरी तुम मेरी राखो लाज हरी सूर्य पतित को मेघ उधारो सूर्य पतित को मेघ उधारो मेघ उधारो मेघ उधारो सूर्य पतित को मेघ उधारो अब मेरी मेरी राखो लाज हरी तुम मेरी राखो लाज हरी तुम मेरी राखो लाज हरी तुम मेरी राखो लाज हरी Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudeva, 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 Hari Bol.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vivo.
Prabhu, thank you so much. That was beautiful, bhajan. Divyanam Prabhu, are you still there? Is there anything more?
Thank
to
you.
add?
Thank you very much. Yes, Prabhu. That was a beautiful bhajan. Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us this evening. Thank you, Nikhil, Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
everyone.
Nikhil Prabhu. Wonderful class. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thanks, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna.